These rear windows are a common failure. Basically, they have a wire regulator which snaps and then the window won't go up and down. If that doesn't go up and down, then your roof won't work. So I'm going to be removing this one today. It is a bit complicated, to be honest. There's a lot to do. I have removed the leather pad trim piece, which is still on that side, but I have removed this side, and it reveals this metal plate here. And you've got a couple of these Torx bolts, and then for some weird reason you've got a tiny one, okay, and that is to hold a little plastic piece underneath. Okay, you've also got another Torx bolt over here which is holding this metal plate on, and when they are done, then this plate can be removed. Okay, now you've also got to remove this trim here, which is part of this, I think it's part of this rubber thing, I don't know, but I'll soon find out. Okay, it's attached to it anyway. Now this is difficult to remove because it's quite solid, it's quite flexible, it will bend if you're not careful, and it could scratch your paintwork. So do take care when removing this. It's just a push on. As I said, it will bend if you try and put too much leverage on it. Okay, so I have removed the Torx bolts, and you can see that this just lifts up. It is caught on the rubber seal at the end, so be careful just to lift it up. You can see where it's attached down there, so that just needs pulling up and removing. Okay, which now leaves behind this rubber piece, which is now part of this seal. Now I'm going to remove this front section here. Just pull this up gently. It is a not really, I don't know where it's attached to. Is there something underneath here where it's attached to? There you go. Oh, it's easy. It's just a fold in. And now I'm going to have the delicate stage of trying to remove this piece here without causing any damage to it. I do believe that this bit just comes off like this and is not part of this, but I may be wrong. Okay, so I spent the last 2 or 3 minutes having a go at this without trying to cause any damage, and well, as you can see, it's not been, I haven't got far. I've been able to prise this under a bit, and I've released a little bit of the strand. I've got a bit of room under there now, but if I try and wedge that under and trying to, you can see it's wanting to come off, and it's so tempting to give it a right good push, but I'm trying to do this without damaging it, and I'm very, very wary. So whether you can put some tape under here or some tape on here, I don't know. I mean, to be honest, I don't care. This paintwork, I don't care about this, but obviously if you're going to be removing this, then you will. Okay, if it damages underneath, who cares? But you don't want it to scrape the paint off, because then it will get wet and corrode. So it's a bit of a tricky one, this one. So I'm going to keep on having a go at this. Okay, I'm getting somewhere. So I have been able to lift that, and you can see what's holding this on. Now I did have to use something a bit stronger. I did put a bit of a bar in just to prise and lever this, and you can see it started to come up on here. Okay, and it seems to have left the rubber behind. Okay, so I don't know whether the whole thing should come up together. You can see here that metal pin there, I know the seal is connected to that. Whether this is all supposed to lift off together, I don't know. It's so difficult. I don't want to really force this trim up because I don't want to rip the rubber on it. Right, okay, so what did I do? I got under here and just prized this part here up a little bit, And you can see now, by giving it a bit of a tug, the whole thing comes out. And I haven't caused that much damage. It's still straight. It's still intact. The velvet seal seems there. The rubber seems good. Okay. And yeah, what's been left behind is this big rubber section at the back, which is part of the boot seal. Okay. So keep that for safekeeping for when you put it back on. Okay, and just to add, yeah, you can see it's basically these 4 clips that hold it on, and the trim sits, there's a little lip on the trim, and I'm going to try and push that back on there. You can see it's still on there fine, but come off on here. So I'm going to force this little trim piece back on to where it should be sitting. So with all this leather vinyl trim removed, you can access 2 13mm bolts which hold this on, and they're hidden behind these little plastic, little sticky things. Now they are sticky, they do come off, they do break, and they need prizing off with a screwdriver. So I'm going to do that now, and then the loom is this one here, the furry one there, and that goes in and plugs into it. So I'm going to get a screwdriver and remove these. So these little covers are quite brittle. They did crack, and they're not very sticky, to be honest, but it leaves the 2 holes that we need now. And I don't know if you can see in there, but well at the back is a 13mm nut. Okay, and I'm going to use a long reach. Put a long reach in there. You've got to give it a little bit of a movement, a wiggle around until it hits, and once it hits, then you can undo them. Okay, a slight word of warning is when you use this, make sure that your socket on the end is quite solid and won't come off easily, because if you knock it on here and it comes off, it will fall down and you'll probably never see it again, and when you're driving you'll hear this rattle around. It'll be very annoying. Also, what's annoying is I've undone this and this thing is very loose now, but the 2 nuts are still in there, and they're going to probably either fall down. So advice is, if you can get a magnetic one of these to keep the nuts in place and bring it out with you, and also when you're actually replacing it and putting the nuts back in, you don't want things falling down here. Otherwise you are going to spend a lot of time with a magnet or whatever trying to find it, because you are not going to get it out by hand, or by, there's no hole underneath, whatever, you're not going to do it. So be careful. So right, can this lift out? Ugh, don't know. I'm going to be very careful. It's coming out now. I can probably lift it well enough to get my hand in there to unplug it, because when that's unplugged I'll be able to remove this pain in the arse plastic cover here. So, and it's not wanting to come out, and difficult one-handed, so I'm going to try and widget this thing around and see if I can do it by hand. So I've pulled this out quite far, and I can actually put my hand in there. What I can't do is get the sodding thing off. Honestly, it's one of these pinch things. You pinch on it and then pull it, but it won't release. So, you know, a bit of swearing, bit of whatever. Now, you've got to be careful here that this is scraping against here. So, it's not too much damage, but of course, you don't want to scratch or break your glass or what have you. So, do take care. But I don't think this is going to come out without that plug coming off first. Of course, you've got to undo the plug, but I can't get this plastic piece off. So I'm going to keep on trying. When I'm sorry, I've gone and cut it. I've gone and cut the loom because, well, I'm not putting this back together, and it is really annoying me now. So I've tried and I've tried and I've tried, and I can't get it off. So I really can't be bothered. So I've given myself a little bit of room there. I've pulled the loom up a bit, and now can this come out? Oh, what? Yep. See what a fun you have doing these. There you go. He says, there it is. There you are, a useful piece of plastic. And now this should be able to come out now. So, obviously I'm doing this one-handed, so it's catching on a couple of things underneath. So let me get this out. Okay, so here it is. It's out. This is difficult to remove even when it's out. I've pressed the buttons in and I heard a click, but it's still not wanting to budge, and I don't want to force it. And I've got only one hand, so I'm just going to leave it for now. So these 2 points here is where the bolts mount, attach the 2 bolts that you undone. They were on there, which hold it into the body. This one looks quite good. What normally happens is these things get dry, rust, and fray and snap. And when they snap, the window won't come up and down, so your roof won't come down, or that will stay down and you get wet, whatever. Okay, so hope this has been beneficial to people and it's useful. You've got a big hole in there now, and you can see down there is the nut, so you can get the nuts out now. Okay, and then get ready to put them back in again. All right, it's quite dry, so hope you've enjoyed this. Thanks for watching.